There comes a time in every man's life when they have to grow up and accept that some things are better left for the past. But those things aren't video games. Video games are a great thing, and I think it's awesome that so many different ways to make them exist. No matter your age, there will always be some type of video game you'll enjoy. It's impressive that in just a matter of decades we went from slow limited machines to super beefed up setups that can render hyper realistic graphics. But that being said, I hate video games. Now, obviously, some things need to be said before I continue my rant. I regularly play video games, and I don't hate video games as a whole. I consider myself a gamer, but if someone asks me what do I hate about video games, this is what I would tell them. So no, I'm not your 60-year-old grandmother telling you where you'll get acute prostate inflammation by playing games for 2 hours. And I'm not here shaking my fist, back in my days! Because honestly, I am annoyed by that as much as everyone else. With all that being said, I'm gonna continue my rant. So one big chunk that I'll bite off right away is online competitive games. I don't like playing them. Maybe it's because I was never really competitive as a kid, or even competent. But there's quite a lot of things that annoy me in online competitive games. You see, gaming is a fairly new concept, and we're just seeing what it looks like when gaming is starting to integrate in our society. I'm only 17 years old, and my generation is perhaps the first generation that experienced gaming as a default thing in our society. Millennials, so anyone born in like the late 90s, were the foundation of gaming. They were the ones who started it, and without those brave men, we wouldn't normalize getting rich off of broadcasting our Fortnite matches or whatever. They walked so we could run. They made the gaming as it is today, but they also kind of ruined it. You see, the first gamers were pretty bad at games. They would have to come up with their own strategies because the tutorials on games were scarce. Maybe if you got lucky you would find a pro League of Legends guide, but even that you'd have to really experiment. So there was a sort of normalization of being bad at games. People didn't know what good gameplay was and they tested the waters. So there was a sort of tolerance to sucking at games. But I feel like nowadays being a newbie is the worst fucking period of gaming you can go through. Learning the games isn't fun anymore because people know what pro gameplay looks like. And if you're a casual gamer like myself who doesn't get super invested into the professional leagues, you just get shat on by people who follow the popular strats and watch pro streamers every day. I know it's nothing anyone can really do about. I'm not blaming the millennials for figuring this shit out. But I feel like the bar for how good you are at lower levels has been raised nowadays. Now that is only me getting started into this rant. My next point, which is just a deeper dive into my last, is smurfing. So you see, when a person gets really good at the game, they move out to their parents' basement and move into the deepest parts of their own anus. So they live in this illusion, a genjutsu, that their skills are much better than they actually are. So they would start shit-talking to their teammates in a match for not playing correctly and eventually would get their account banned for a few days for toxicity and death threats and whatnot. But they are addicted to that game, so they make a new account so they can still play. But the problem is that that new account will throw that person into a selection pool of other newbies. So you have this 300 level guy disguised as a 3 level guy who is playing with other genuine 3 level guys. So this toxic guy talks even more shit to the newbies around them, and as a noob, the experience is just ruined. I cannot describe how many times I opened up League of Legends and wanted to have fun just to lose all interest when a guy spams the shit out of me and how bad I am at the game and whatnot. And you know what? I am bad at the game, but I just don't practice as much because I get demotivated by the guy rubbing salt on my wounds. My next point is, again, me being shit at games. But this is in a form of FPS games. Being new to FPS is the worst experience, even worse than the MOBA stuff I talked about. At least in the MOBAs, the split is kind of even. There are a few smurfs and salty people, but they're just the internet being the internet. I've gotten used to the fact that most people will hate you, like, realistically. There ain't much I can do about it. In chat, I would always acknowledge that I suck and I'm not playing well, but hey, I'm learning at the end of the day. The learning may be frustrating, but you know, everybody starts somewhere, and that's what I always tell those guys. What can I do? Now FPS games on the other hand, I think the learning curve of FPS games is not a curve at all, but a straight fucking wall that I need to climb. I just cannot play FPS games, I'm just bad at them. I don't know what it is, but I feel like everyone is just 5 times faster than me. No matter what I do, where I go, someone finds me and insta-kills me. I don't want to like get too into detail, but when I would go attack someone and I start shooting at them, they just don't die and basically kill me immediately. I can't really get through words how bad being an FPS newbie is, but the point is I'm really bad. And I feel like it's much more difficult to learn FPS games because everyone is naturally better at it. A person who starts playing an FPS game is pretty much a pro because that's the only fucking thing that they've ever played in their entire lives. And there are so many FPSs out there, people just know how to play them. If you weren't playing FPSs when you were younger, good fucking luck because everyone who makes a new account already knows 50 different ways to kill you. I especially hate Valorant because not only am I bad at FPSing, but there are also skills that split up my focus. To sum up the FPS bit, it feels like in every game I'm just a liability because everyone is so good at these games. To sum everything I said in the video, I guess my problem with online competitive games is that it's too difficult to be new at the game, because people are just good at games nowadays. They got all the resources and abilities to be able to practice. I guess that says something about every game being a rehash of the previous one, but that's not the point. The point is, if you're bad at the game, good luck, because you'll really have to work yourself down to the bone. I forgot to mention this, but a thing with all games is they take up way too much space. Our storage technology is not keeping up with our programming technology. It's insane. But yeah, that's about it for this video game rant. I just wanted to get this out of there because my friends are all tired of me explaining why it's not my fault we lose in every game while being high on copium. So I'm telling this to the entire world. If you enjoyed, I'm glad. Subscribe or more for more and all that shit, and see you later. Goodbye.